So colitis is basically an inflammation of the large bowel, and there's a lot of different causes for it. And I guess probably things we think about with colitis: a bacterial infection, food allergies. There are some immune-mediated conditions. There's also some parasitic conditions that can cause this. And so the way I generally will approach colitis is I'll look at the age of the animal and how long it's been happening for. So colitis, we quite often see it in puppies, and that's generally a bit of either a dietary indiscretion or just the gut bacteria really trying to get itself established properly. So for puppies, my normal approach, if the puppy is otherwise well and happy and drinking, not vomiting, I'll normally actually just take them off food for 12 to 24 hours and then put them onto a bland food, so a bit of chicken and rice or fish and rice for 24 hours, and that's quite often enough just to allow the gut to heal up and settle down. If it continues past that point, then I'll normally recommend taking a fecal sample. So basically just pick up a sample, send it off to the lab, and that allows us to check for certain bacteria and parasitic diseases. If those are found, then we obviously treat those, and it's quite easy to settle things down. Now, if we don't find much in the way of anything significant on the fecal sample, then really our next thought moves to, is this some sort of food sensitivity? So, as I discussed earlier, food sensitivities can quite often appear as skin problems in dogs, but gut problems is another one of those things that we might see. So generally what we look at with food sensitivities in dogs in particular is it takes around 2 weeks for whatever's caused the problem to really be out of the system and settle down. And so quite often people think, well, God, I haven't fed it that for a week or so, it can't be that triggering it. Whereas the reality is we need to have them off food or off particular proteins for 2 to even 3 weeks. So it's not the brand of food that they're allergic to, so it's not because they're on PAL or Hills or Royal Canin or Black Hawk or anything in particular. It's actually the proteins within the food they're allergic to, so it's the beef, the wheat, the lamb, the dairy, pretty much any protein that they're on a regular basis can actually be the cause of colitis. So what I'll normally look at doing, depending on the age of the pet, is put them onto either a hypoallergenic or an allergenic diet. So basically where the proteins have been broken down into short chain amino acids. So the dog's able to get the amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins, but there's not actually long chain amino acids for the pet to react to. Or I may do a novel protein diet, so something like Royal Canin sensitivity control or kangaroo and sweet potato, something like that, just so that we're using proteins that the pet hasn't been exposed to before. And after 2 to 3 weeks, if it is a food sensitivity, then the gut should have settled down. What we will then do is challenge the dog with its normal food, and if the colitis starts again, that confirms our diagnosis. And we can either look at keeping the dog on a hypoallergenic diet for life, or we can look at trying to work out which individual proteins are causing the problem. So we'll do a sequential challenge. So we might do beef for a few days, see how things go, lamb for a few days, and try one thing at a time. But we need to remember that there may be several things that the dog's allergic to. So if we find a reaction to one thing, we still need to go through and check everything that's in the dog's diet, because we don't want to be missing anything. If we don't get a response to the food trial, really the next stage is biopsies, and biopsies can be done 2 ways. Our preference is to do an endoscopic biopsy, so basically using an endoscope, putting it up into the colon and taking some little pinch biopsies, and that gives us quite a good idea as to what's going on, and that really helps with diagnosing things like autoimmune conditions or hypersensitivities. We could also do a full thickness biopsy of the colon. That carries slightly more risk, but in some cases that can give us a better result. So by taking full thickness biopsies, we get to see what every tissue layer is doing. And so sometimes that is a necessary step, but we need to balance the risks and the benefits. So like I say, colitis, it's more of a group of conditions than an individual condition. And depending on the age and how long it's been present for, that will dictate how we approach it.